Hey friends, good morning. It is Seed Starting Saturday, and it is your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler here, and really happy to be here with you this morning. We're going to do our weekly sunflower seed sowing, and I want to just do a little bit of housekeeping first. And it's like a crisp day in Virginia. So I looked up online, and it took me to the Farmer's Almanac of the forecast for this fall and winter. And they're saying that we're going to have an early, like an old timey winter's coming on time this year. And I can definitely feel it here today in Virginia. Actually, as you can see, I have a jacket on. So I have to walk outside of my house to get into this building. And it was kind of crisp out there. So we're having a really great time here. So if you're chiming in, I would appreciate it so much if you would like and share this broadcast. That just helps us to reach more people with our message, right? And if you're seeing people post the sunflower emoji, those are people that are identifying themselves as TGW family. And how do you become a family member? You take one of our courses. And we really build community around that, and just love when people kind of want to let other people know that they're part of us too. So yesterday, we do our live shopping show on Fridays, 12 noon Eastern time, inside the app. And inside the app just has a lot more features and a lot more things for you to be able to do and see it. So to get the app, you just go to your phone's app store, search Gardener's Workshop, download it. It's totally free, and it's a lot of fun. Number one, you can watch the replays. And then also you can take it, you can shop anytime. What has developed this last few months is that people are now shopping 24/7 over there. And so sometimes there's items over there and special offers and special features that we can't do on our website. So it really is something really, really different. So yesterday, what I really want to share is yesterday in the middle of the show, I had to be relieved. I got a little dizzy from cold medicine or actually allergy medicine. My sister just jumped into action. I mean, it was just so good to hear her voice. It was about at minute 20 or 22 or something. I was on the stand-up garden and razor hose. And this is why I'm sharing this with you. So that's where I got really kind of like a little dizzy, and it was like, get me a chair. I have to sit down. And Suzanne just took over. We didn't really highlight why the hose were over there in the show yesterday. Yesterday's show was all about working smarter, not harder in your garden or on your farm. And I shared a bunch of tips. And the stand-up hose, which I have both. I use the razor and the garden hoe. I mean, I would not be farming. That is my secret to super successful direct seeding, are those two hoes. And so we don't often offer them over on the app because the app doesn't have very flexible shipping. To ship that, the stand-up hose have a 60-inch handle, which is part of what makes them so easy to use, their length. And the heads are shipped separately, and then you put them together. We give you the screw and all the instructions and all that. But it is very costly to ship them. So by putting them over in the app, while you do pay a little bit of additional shipping, there is about a 20% savings over buying it over on the website. And that's kind of like one of our weekend specials. And this week, because of the holiday weekend, you're getting to take advantage of that until Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. So I would recommend you go to the app, and you can actually bring up yesterday's video. You can bring up Shop All, just scroll to the hoe and bring it up. And Suzanne kind of like took over right when the hoe was up. So I can't even remember what all she said about it. But if you want to see it in action, just go to my social media feed and Instagram and scroll back. I put a reel up probably last week. I think it was actually last Friday. Shmish hoeing. It showed me hoeing my cool flower direct seeded garden this past year. Super easy. It does not hurt your back. It is incredibly efficient. And I'm telling you, it is the secret to how I direct sow with virtually no weeds come spring. So check that out. And that's just one of the specials. The Hori Hori is also on 20% off, and the entire category of Cool Season Hardy Annuals is on sale, 20% off until Tuesday at 8 a.m. inside the app only. These are all app only offers, y'all. So that's the big advantage to having the app. You know, I never totally got this now. I now get everybody, if there's a store or an organization that I am really loving everything that they do, I understand now why I need to get their app. There's just more features, more things. It's more flexible. So please go over and check that out. And the Cool Flower seeds, you know, we have to physically stock that app with product. If something sells out, be sure you get on the wait list, because you'll get notified if they're able to restock it, so that you can take advantage of the sale. So friends, I think I have a little bug. So if I have to exit right, Jesse is prepared to jump on here and close the show. And so I'm like telling you what I think is the most highly important things first, just in case, right? But I just could not be here with y'all today. First off, sowing the weekly sunflowers is super important. And if I didn't do it here with you all right now, it wouldn't get done this week. I mean, we are so structured around here. If we skip a chore, which is part of the work smarter, not harder, we do things on such a methodical way, in a methodical way, that if we skip it, it's like my mind doesn't even go back there. I don't even realize I skipped it. So check that out yesterday inside the app, and hope that works for you. So today I am going to be sowing, again, that special custom mix that the Gardener's Workshop makes in-house. It is a mix of Pro Cuts, and it is 5 different Pro Cuts, 5 or 6, let's see. Pro Cut Bicolor, Pro Cut Red Lemon Bicolor, and Pro Cut Plum, Pro Cut Orange, and Pro Cut Red. So that is 5. So those are like all fall focused flowers, right? I am not exaggerating here. If I had just grown sunflowers in the way that we grow them, growing them small, and then even sometimes in various colors, I could have just sold sunflowers for the whole month of September and October to my commercial customers, to supermarkets, and at farmers markets, because there's such varieties of colors, different ways to go about offering them. So they're a super important cash crop, and it's a great way to finish up your season. We grow Pro Cuts because they're 55 to 60 days from seed to bloom, and they're day length neutral, which means even though the days are shortening, they will still continue to grow and bloom. They may be shorter and a little smaller, but that is perfectly okay. In fact, my customers love those small fall sunflowers. Y'all, they don't even realize they're sunflowers, but they have all the attributes of sunflowers, meaning they last a long time. They're pollenless, which contributes to their vase life, and they're just great colors. So I am going to plant the fall medley. And so I have down here a 128 plug tray, which I'll show you guys. So this is the 128 plug tray, and it is full of 50-50 mix of 50% of any potting soil and 50% finished compost, right? And so that, potting soil can be a great part of the expense of growing plants oftentimes. And when we were doing 10 trays of this a week, this plug tray has 128 cells. That means I'm going to plant 128 sunflowers. Well, back when we were doing 10 of these a week, let me tell you, we blew through soil. So that's when I started mixing it. And in fact, I found that we even had a better result with that. So I am just dropping a sunflower on the surface of each cell. And these are black oil sunflower seeds, so I know they're a little hard to see. And, sometimes at this time of the year, we have a whole field of blooming sunflowers right now. They aren't the Pro Cuts. They aren't cutting sunflowers. They're the cover crop sunflower, which you can find that on our website. It It makes pollen and nectar, so it is really a strong pollinator drawer. Last night I was out there, not last night, night before last, just taking videos of all the different types of bumblebees that were out there and my neighbor's honeybees, along with just so many different types of butterflies and moths, all of which are pollinators, right? So I'm just continuing to drop these. I know you can't see my hands, but I'm coming back to you here in just a second. Trying to get rid of these seeds so I can take this jacket off. It's gotten warm in here. So the cover crop sunflower seeds are pretty, but they don't last nearly as long, and they would drop a lot of pollen. So that's the big difference in these. So let's put these back. All right, so I have all the sunflowers sown on the surface, and now I'm going to push them down in. Now, sunflowers do best with sprouting in darkness, meaning that the seed should be covered with soil. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just putting my finger on the seed and pushing it about halfway down. And then when I take these into the grow room and water them, that'll complete the covering. I don't put any extra soil or anything in there. That's just not necessary. And then I will pop these right onto a sunflower, onto the seedling heat mat, and that will heat the soil to get them to sprout quickly, but more importantly, will get them to really grow a vigorous root system, which is how we actually get them to grow to the appropriate age and to be able to like just pull on the stem and the entire cell pops out with it. You don't feel like you're going to rip the stem off, right? So I put them on the seedling heat, take them in the grow room. I water them in well on the floor. I pop them up onto the seedling heat mat, and they stay there until 50% of the seeds show signs of life. And that means if you just see the neck of the seed coming up, that's life, okay? Then you either move them to grow lights if you have them, or I put them right outside in full sun. We protect them from varmints like birds and rabbits, and we water them every morning. For us, in our growing conditions, we typically can plant them out when they're 2.5 or 3 weeks old. That is the goal. After 3 weeks, they get really ugly really fast. I mean, they'll start getting spotty and rangy and light colored, and there's really nothing you can do. A lot of people say, oh, well, I want to pot them up. Nope, you're better off to just start over again. If you skip and it gets older and older, you're just better to ditch it and move on. So then we plant them when they're 2.5 to 3 weeks old. We plant them into 30-inch wide beds. We put 5 rows, and then they're 6 inches apart in the row. We do not install irrigation nor Bio360 film. We use netting as a planting guide. Bobo does. She rolls it out, plants them, one every 6 inches, basically in all directions for 5 rows. And then she rolls the netting up, puts it away, and she waters with a hose and a wand so that she knows each plant gets a good watering. And here in Virginia, because we get such frequent rain, we just don't do anything else to them. If you live in a droughty area, you definitely need to actually water, right? It's all about figuring out what you have to do to grow whatever you're trying to figure out how to grow, right? Everybody's conditions are different. So that's it. We literally wait till they start blooming. And by doing that every single week, then you have consistent harvest every week. And see, that is the real secret. So right now we're in a sunflower drought around here. We had about 3 or 4 plantings that Bobo started planting in a new bed. And Bobo and I both kind of forgot that end of the garden, the very last bed, which is kind of near our native border, is like a rabbit hangout. And I mean, they mowed down in one night, it's like all of a sudden somebody said, hey, y'all, look over here. And they came and mowed like 3/4 of what was in there. And so we are really in a sunflower drought right now. And it is so painful when you know how it's like your insurance policy. It's like me making those bouquets yesterday. We sent flowers over to my mother-in-law's retirement home again. And it's like, oh my gosh, if we only had sunflowers, you don't have to worry about anything else. You can pump it up with other stuff. But this weekly sunflower sowing is very, very important. And so since we had that hit of losing all those sunflowers to rabbits, Bobo has started row covering. So we hoop and row cover all the sunflower plantings right now, because it is definitely in areas. It's like, and in the back garden where our peonies are planted, there's that long 100-foot row or 90 feet. That's another hiding place for rabbits. When you have thick vegetation near your garden, see our cutting garden, I mean, is constantly being cut and thinned, right? They don't tend to hang out in there. It's the permanent vegetation. And so our native border is one great spot. And then in the back garden where we lost, they got some marigolds, cosmos, and they were just eating along one side. They ate one row. At least they left us 3 back there. But now Bobo is hooping and row covering, and it works like a gym. If you get the row cover down and secure it, they do great. We just have to be sure that they have moisture underneath there, and they do really, really well. So that's how we plant sunflowers. So let's see what questions, Jesse. So Steve has a question. Please address the solid tray that goes underneath the 128 cell trays, where to get them. And Steve, you just don't even know. I don't know where you get them. We try to buy them. Do you know how many sample trays? We have like a graveyard. We find a new company. They say, oh yeah, we have a tray that's what you're talking about, a solid tray. And I said, all right, send us, 5 or whatever we need to test it. And none of them fit the 128 tray properly. I just don't understand where they are. So I'm sorry to say that I do not have an answer for that. But we don't use trays because we have a drain in the floor, which I understand why people need a tray. And every year, Rhonda and I try to find a new tray source. And we have had so many, we've got it. And then they come and there's like, nope, this is the same as the other problem. They don't fit properly. So I'm sorry, but it's on our radar. And I'm glad to know that people are looking for it. So I'll be sure to talk to Rhonda about that. Question. My garden is on show in November, which is our summer. So you must be in Australia. Oh, you're in South Africa. Do the flowers last for a while on the stalk? Wanted to dedicate a huge bed to different sunflowers. Lots of love, Janet in South Africa. Well, hello, Janet. So if I was trying, this is what I would do if I had a target date, like heaven forbid, if I should promise somebody back in the years that I would have sunflowers for their event. And let's just say it's the 1st of September. I would have planted 3 to 4 plantings, probably 4, around that date. So I would plant probably 1 or 2 earlier, 1 a week, let's just take that back. Let's just say we're doing it right now and it's for a November, right? I would probably plant some today to bloom hopefully a week before your event, and then one next week, and then one after, and then one after, a week apart. That way, even if they're not blooming, they're still beautiful, but hopefully you'll have something in full bloom. And the way I would do that is this. I would do a long bed and maybe make it a little wider and do, let's just say if you put 8 or 9 rows in there, you could do 3 rows this week, 3 rows the next week, and so forth. That way, the ones that aren't blooming are in the back. You know what I mean? They're the oldest. That's also a great way to set up a display bed if you have traffic going by. You would do it opposite. So here's a thought too. If you were afraid that they were going to come and go before your date, then you would put the oldest in the back. You know what I mean? So that'd be the first to bloom, then the second. That's what you want to do. Sorry, my head's a little buzzy. You want to do it opposite. Plant the oldest first in the back and then rows in front of that. And then you have the beauty of the vegetation in the front, even if they're not open blooms yet. Sorry. Hope that helps you, and good luck. My skinning gourds are so cute. Can you explain how to skewer them for arrangements and what glue to use? How long will they last? Thanks, Lisa. I lost 2 bed of sunflowers to rabbits. Painful. Yeah, those little rascals. Tucker chases them. And now I'm like, go, boy, go. He's never caught one, but all right. So the gourds. Those little spinning gourds are the cutest thing that we grow. I mean, they're just adorable. So Ellen Frost is the designer that actually told me that's what she would do with them. So I would think if you're going to skewer them, you're probably going to have to drill or make a little hole. And I think drilling would be the safest because gourds are pretty hard. And to try to stick something in it would be those wooden skewers, actually like little shish kebab, skewers like that. You can get a little drill bit and knock it out in no time. I think they will last indefinitely like that. And they would be so fun. I mean, I'm just thinking about other things. You could use them on wreaths like that too. Totally amazing. I showed them yesterday, or Suzanne showed them yesterday on the show. So that's what so I don't know that she glued them at all. She was thinking of just poking a skewer in the end of it. And if you want to add, and she answers DMs. If you go to Ellen Frost Flowers on social media, and Instagram, and ask her that. And I'm sure she would answer you. Sally, when do you harvest the spinning gourds? So you have a real wide window of opportunity. You want to get them in before frost comes. So the easiest thing to do, and I'll just get up and get these and show y'all what we're talking about. This is what Suzanne showed yesterday on the show. This is one of the great things about the show on Friday is we show kind of the live harvest and what's going on the farm. So these are ones from last year that I just literally picked like this. This is green. This is what they look like. They're the cutest things you've ever seen, y'all. And just put them in this tray and just set it up on the top of a shelf. They get all funky and moldy, and you're supposed to, I watched a video that showed people that do the big birdhouse gourds do the same thing. They wash them, soap them up. I think they even might bleach them a little bit to clean them, and then you can paint them. So I cut them like this is perfect. I mean, think about a ton of these because they're very prolific on fresh tablescapes for fall, in arrangements, bowls of these sitting around your house. For at the holiday time of fall, from fall right up until Thanksgiving. Totally and completely amazing. So you can use them whenever they are as little or big. I was just looking for another one. This one had started to age. Can you see how it's starting to fade? This is fresher than this one. It's all about what you're looking for. Now, the best and easiest way, depending on your garden and your setup, is I try to leave them out in the garden to start curing so that you don't even have to store them, but you still have to kind of store them. So it's really about personal preference. We will wash these up and we're going to drill holes in them with that same drill that you would drill a hole in the bottom of it fresh to actually use it in arrangement. And then they go up to the church school to the kids to decorate and make Christmas ornaments. So that's a really, really fun thing. So hopefully that helps. So you have a wide window from the very beginning up until frost. Is the 6 to 8 weeks before your first fall frost date when you plant the seeds in the soil blocks or when you plant them in the garden? Okay, great question, Judy. And it is a very common question that we get. The 6 to 8 weeks before your first expected frost is when you would either plant a transplant for those varieties that prefer it that way, or for those flowers that prefer to have their seed planted in the garden, you plant that seed in the garden. Because here's how it works. That 6 to 8 week window over here, that 6 to 8 week window allows that little seed you plant out in the garden, gives it opportunity to sprout and grow into a little plant. Or that transplant that you're planting, it gives it 6 to 8 weeks to become established both of them are doing that before winter sets in. So that means that you need to start the seed for that transplant however many weeks before you need to plant it. We typically plant like the first 2 weeks in October is what we're looking to do. And we literally, I have Rudbeckia already up and growing. It's so pretty. I mean, I love baby plants, y'all. And the heat mat and chamber are full. Bobo and Andrew started seeds all day Thursday because it was raining here. And we got a ton started. And all this week, Bobo will be starting more seeds. So we are starting those with the intention that they'll be planted out in October sometime. So hope that helps. Judy, I have 16 plus acres planted in pines, about 2 years old. Rows of pines are 10 feet apart. Would it be feasible to plant strips of flowers between the rows of pines? I mean, if they're short plants, obviously, the short trees, you don't have to worry about the shade part of things. But it's all about how are you going to make beds? They have to be amended. That's a lot of work to lose out in just a couple of years. Because, I mean, as you know, pines just grow so quickly. We include pine trees in our native border, and the pine trees like warp right past all the other native trees that we have planted. Mine are only, I'm just thinking, I think this is their 5th year, and they're already 25 or 30 feet tall. They're tall, but I'm in the South. So I don't know where you are, but you could, if you're just gonna till and make beds, if you've got a bed maker that you can put down Bio 360 to create mulched beds really quickly and easily, but that bed, the soil just has to be prepared. If it's nice soil, I'd go for it. I mean, if you don't have open space, my thought is if you are really trying to maybe establish a flower farm garden, big working garden, it would be better to do all that work where you can keep it, right? If you experience to share on snaps, please do. I know you have talked about this so many times, but I could use your thoughts one more time. How long to keep under lights and when to put out? So for snaps, in general, most of the cool season hardy annuals, so keep this in mind. I prefer to have a little bit larger transplant to go out to the garden in the fall than I do in spring. And that is because when you plant that transplant out in the garden, it's going to get established and then it's going to go into winter. It's not going to be growing top vegetation. Like when you plant, a sunflower or a zinnia or whatever, basil in the spring, you plant it and man, it just goes to town growing the top growth, right? That doesn't happen with cool season hardy annuals. They are getting their bottom half established before they start the top half. So with that in mind, I'm looking for a nice little anchor for my plant to go through winter with. Not really big, but just a little bit bigger than what I would in the summer or in the spring. So we typically allow 4 to 6 weeks for most cool season hardy annuals. Snaps would be included in that. There are some slow growers like Lysianthus, which, that's like 12 to 16 weeks. And Rudbeckia is a slow grower for us. So we always start that first. That's kind of how we can't start all the seeds we want to start at the same time. And this is exactly what Bobo and Andrew and I had this discussion on Thursday. They said, well, we have this long list of stuff to start, right? And I said, all right, we've already started the Rudbeckia, which is the pokiest of all of them, put aside Lysianthus. Also the other pokey ones, Campanula and Trichelium. Those are the 3 plugs, Lizzie's, Trichelium, and Campanula, that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I'd buy plugs. I can start them. I have started them from seed, but they're challenging. They're slow. They need special conditions, and it's better for me to spend a little bit more money and get a full tray of plants and have them just show up here. So put all those aside. We start the Rudbeckia first. So how we triage out all these other seeds that need to be done is I look and say, all right, who are the next group that are the slowest, or I want the biggest plants to go into the garden. And that's what they talked about yesterday on the show. The 3 groups that they started on Thursday, all the feverfews, all the snapdragons, and the sweet Williams. Was it sweet Williams? I think so. That's how and so it's like, all right, they spent the day and started, because we start a tray of each variety of each color, and it's a lot of seeds. And so next week, the stuff she'll be starting is the stuff that maybe doesn't take quite as long, or that I don't need quite as big. So snaps are typically 4 to 6 weeks. And I'll tell you what, the best snaps I ever planted were those that were pinched in the tray, because we couldn't plant them because it just kept raining and raining and raining one year. So we would start the snaps, and once they pop, we get them under grow lights in the room. And sometimes snaps can be a little testy if their watering cycle is just not what they're liking, or if it's too hot in that grow room, they kind of just stall. I would say that overwatering is the most common cause of that, because people have trouble with soil blocks. You want, in a 24-hour period, your blocking mix to go from wet when you water it this morning to drier tomorrow morning, and you water it again, because that gives it water now, crunches its thirst, and then it spends the rest of the time taking on oxygen at the roots. And that's very, very important. So I will bump them outside once they're about halfway through that growing period. Especially if they're having troubles, if they're struggling, if something just didn't right, is the temperature in the room just, do I have it too warm because I'm trying to germinate something over on a heat mat? I'll just bump them outside. I'll give them protection from wind for sure, but they usually just check right up and move on. So we'll put them outside once they're 2 inches or taller. But sometimes if the weather's not good, we'll leave them inside. Then once they get about 3 to 4 inches tall, if I know I'm not going to be planting them for 2 weeks, we'll pinch at least 50% of them. Because pinching is yet another way to plan your succession planting. By pinching 50%, I was thinking about this, I should not have pinched all of our sylphid that was planted out in the field, because sylphid, which is a celosia, responds really well to pinching. Well, it all got pinched, and so it all came on heavy. Tons of blooms. We had great harvests for about 3 weeks. Well, we couldn't cut them all. There were so many. And now we're like in this lull, versus if half had been planted, pinched, we'd have gotten the pinched blooms first, maybe a little earlier than what we got these pinched ones. It would have stretched it out longer. So hope that long explanation helps you there, Steve. All right, friends, we're going to call it a day here. I'm going in to do nothing for the rest of the day and see if I can't kick this bug. I just got the interior pages back to the book yesterday evening. I have a week to review it and make sure pictures are right, captions are right, and that there's nothing I really want to change. So we're bearing down at the end. People always wonder why it takes so long to write a book. Oh my gosh, if y'all only knew. I didn't know, that is for sure, how many hands are involved. And you have to allow time for the hands to get it, touch it, look at it, decide, and then get it to the next hand, and then to the next hand. And we're super excited for y'all to get this book in your hands. February 2024. You should get on the wait list. And the wait list is either on the app or on our website. That just means that when we put it up for pre-sale, you will know about it, and we'll have a really special offer for that. And then you'll also be in the loop, because, when you buy your book from us, not only will it be signed, which I'd love to do that, is that we're giving bonus resources with it, like the 6 flowers that didn't make the book and some other stuff. So, all right, friends, and thank you so much. And yes, I am planning on doing a lot of resting around here. And till we meet again, and see you Wednesday on Instagram for Ask a Flower Farmer. That's where you can get your questions answered, get there early and get them posted to get the first ones done. And then see you next Friday on the live show inside the app at 12 noon Eastern time. And thank you very much Jesse for being here. Jesse was my backup. If I had to do like I did yesterday, where I just leave the screen, she was going to step in, and I just have the best team ever, y'all. And I can't wait to update y'all on everything going on, the building project and the new warehouse, and just a lot of fun stuff. All right, friends, till we meet again. Ciao.